in Sweden, the declaration, tax declaration as well. But
okay, let's get into this thing.
they're not going to depends what you're doing.
Okay, good afternoon everyone, how are we?
Woo!
Good to be here. I'd like to start by thanking the organisers for putting on this amazing event and having us along, so thank you very much. My name is Daniel, I'm the head of risk for Blocksquare. Now, please bear with me, I'm a little bit nervous, this is my first public presentation. I'm the numbers guy, so they normally keep me in the back room. But I'm really passionate about what we're going to talk about today. So passionate so that I was willing to overcome my fear and get on stage. So,
Good.
thank you.
Woo!
Alright, so before we talk about Blocksquare, let's have a little talk about tokenization in general and what it is. So tokenization, the tokenization of real-world assets, is the process of digitizing an asset for that asset to be bought, sold, and held on a distributed ledger or a blockchain. We're seeing a tremendous amount of adoption of tokenization, particularly at the institutional level, across pretty much all asset classes, from stocks to bonds, commodities. Tokenization is really taking hold. Blocksquare, founded in 2017, we focus solely on the tokenization of real estate. We're an award-winning organisation focusing on the tokenization infrastructure. That's to say that we provide the technology to other organisations in order for them to run their own marketplaces. With a team of 25 strong, we empower organisations all around the world to be able to tokenize real estate and then run a marketplace. Before we move on, let's take a quick look at the real estate industry. Oh, sorry, yeah, let's take a quick look at the real estate industry prior to tokenization. Now, around $1 billion is invested in commercial real estate globally each year. Great to hear. The shocking part is that 80% of those funds are concentrated on only 60 cities around the world. This means that thousands of markets globally are left unserved. The impact of this is staggering. The amount of asset owners who have very limited options when it comes to financing. And then on the flip side of that, the amount of investors who also have very limited options when it comes to investing. Now, if we look at a city like Miami, for example, we can say that you luckily probably fall into one of those 60 cities that get the lion's share of investment. But there's also a downside to that as well. It means that prices are inflated. For the investor, this means that accessing real estate, accessing the real estate market is harder than ever. It was these problematic factors which fueled the passion of Blocksquare's founders, who saw a way to empower these underserved markets around the world. Starting with over 40 years' experience in technology, law, and product development, Blocksquare saw that by applying blockchain technology to these underserved markets around the world, we could empower them. Asset owners could access alternative means of financing that were not available prior, and investors, particularly small investors, would have access to real estate investments at a level that would meet their financial circumstances. So now we take a quick look at some of the products that we offer. Starting off with our tokenization protocol. Our tokenization protocol provides a standardized method for digitizing any property. It can be digitized, tokenized, either in part or in full. Secondly, we have our white label platform, which is an end-to-end solution for entrepreneurs, companies, big and small, to be able to operate their own marketplaces. This can all be done without any code. And it also includes your own branding. Thirdly, we've got our liquidity engine. Now, our liquidity engine is both a liquidity engine, but it's also our DAO. It's the bridge to decentralized finance. It allows for borderless financing, and it allows individuals all over the world to access real estate investments that were never available to them prior. Now, I can also confidently say that we see a huge potential in the use of Flux here as an alternative to AWS. Now, these 5-6 long years of work, I can now show you what that's materialized into. We're currently at around $75 million of tokenized real estate across 18 countries, and we can proudly say that we are the facilitator of 9 marketplace operators globally. Now, before I move on, we've got some news that we're going to share with you today, which is quite breaking news, and I'm very proud to be able to stand up here and tell you. It's an accomplishment which, up until recently, was ruled as impossible. But I'm proud to announce that Blocksquare has become the first organization in the world to have a tokenized real estate asset registered on the land registry of a country. This is groundbreaking. Furthermore, we've been able to do it in a country that sits within the EU, who holds some of the most robust crypto regulation. So before we move on, this is an incredible achievement, so I just want to take a minute to congratulate the team. So if I can get a round of applause for Blocksquare there. Woo woo! Okay, so moving on to what I really came here to talk about, which is risk management, and risk management in tokenized real estate. We're now tokenizing new properties every day. More and more organizations are using our technology to run marketplaces, and our DAO and community has never been stronger. This led us to start to look at what other problems our users will face, and investors will face. Now, we all know that knowledge is power, and that an informed investor is a good investor. And it was because of this that we came to the conclusion that it was not only the technology that we needed to provide, but also the tools and resources for individuals and investors to make informed decisions. So I'm proud to announce the release of Tokenalytics, which is the analytical suite of Blocksquare. With individuals now able to access investments all over the world and at a level which meets their financial circumstance, it's incredibly important that they have the tools and resources to make informed decisions. In particular, to have a clear line of sight to that real world asset and the characteristics which make up that asset. Furthermore, Blocksquare are positioning ourselves as the gold standard in the industry in terms of analytics. We provide our analytical tools not only to the users of Blocksquare's technology, but also to other organizations within the tokenization industry. So there are numerous products which fall under our Tokenalytics suite. For example, analytic reports, pricing tools. We're working on using AI to assess and analyze lease agreements and titles to ensure the utmost, highest level of due diligence, particularly when we're talking about cross-border due diligence. But the one I want to talk to you about today is our BSBT analytic reports. So this is a first for the industry. There are no other real estate tokenization organizations in the world that are providing this. Our robust risk framework is able to produce analytical reports on real estate properties anywhere in the world. We're able to collect over 100 different data points on the property in addition to the market that it sits within. From those data points, we're able to break them down into 7 risk categories, which characterize all of the risks which make up the property. From there, we're able to produce over 50 meticulous metrics, which provide insightful data for investors to make informed decisions. And then finally, using all the data we're able to collect, we're able to use the latest in industry benchmarks to provide risk ratings on property. So we currently have 20 risk ratings across the 7 risk categories. The end result of this is the industry's first analytical reports on tokenized real estate. Okay. Yeah, we'll spend a little. I'll talk a little bit more about it. What we've got here is a snippet of a report, and some of the risks that we look at is everything from tenure and tenancy, so an analysis of the lease and tenants that make up the investment property that you may choose to invest within, ownership and the complexity of that ownership, of course asset valuation, sources of valuation, full breakdown and analytic review of the debt component of the property, and then of course the tokenomics. Each property that's tokenized into 100,000 BSBT tokens. These are specific tokens to that property, and though the whole property may not be sold, there will be tokenomics which relate specifically to that property. For example, debt that's attached to the property means that we then have debt to token ratios, earnings per token, and numerous others. And these analytical reports provide a comprehensive review of all of the data that an investor would need to make an informed decision before purchasing tokenized real estate. So, let's talk about the ways that you can get involved. So firstly, becoming a marketplace operator. Since we've been here in Fort Lauderdale, we've talked to numerous real estate agents or people that work in the real estate industry. And as we start to talk to them about tokenized real estate, I see their eyes light up. And an example that we keep coming back to is the offering that they can make to their clients. Well, let's say, for example, a real estate agent has a client come in and says, hey, look, I'm looking to refinance, I'd like to take out 10% of the equity in my property. Refurbishments, whatever it might be used for. They take a look at the debt option, they look at the interest rates at the moment, and well, they're not quite favourable. With a real estate agent being able to operate their own tokenized marketplace, this is an additional avenue for liquidity that they can offer to their clients. And it doesn't stop there. We're seeing applications across pretty much every niche of real estate. Just last week I was at a conference in Amsterdam on co-living, and the applications there are just incredible. Co-living is a vastly growing area of real estate. And with this technology, they can allow their residents to own small amounts of the property, and then also use it as an alternative means of financing when it comes to purchasing their co-living properties. So, if you're interested in becoming a marketplace operator, please get in contact. Next, I'd like to talk to you about Ocean Point. This is our DAO. So within the DAO, we first have BST, which is our native token. Within the DAO, you're able to hold your BST and stake it within the DAO. This gives you the option, this gives you the ability to be part of the voting process and the governance process of the DAO. It also holds an APY, as you can see there in the top row. The next option available is issue a BSBT. So at the moment, if you own a property, be it an investment property or your own home, we will tokenize that property for you, for free. We would then allow you to take the tokenized real estate, which you now have, and stake it within our issuer asset pool. This is a no strings attached deal and allows you to have an additional passive income on your property. Third, we have the community BSPT pool. So currently on Ocean Point, our DAO, you're right now able to purchase tokenized real estate from all over the world. You can hold that tokenized real estate in your digital wallet and receive your proportion of the net revenues of that real estate property. Alternative to that, you can take the real estate tokens that you purchased and you can stake them through Ocean Point and earn an APY on our native BST tokens. Lastly, we have our liquidity pool. We are able to provide liquidity to our liquidity pools across decentralized finance. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the presentation. So I think we've got a bit of time for some questions. So if anyone has any questions, would like to discuss some things. Hi.
Hi, I'm Ariel Biscard. I work for Blocksquare as a real estate agent in Miami for one of their areas.
Excellent.
Going back to the land registry.
Yes.
What is each token of that property being notarized individually?
Yes.
Land registry, is it in Slovenia, or do you mind giving more specifics? Thank you.
Absolutely. I can give you some more information. That's a really good question. So, the first notarization that we've been able to achieve was on a property in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. But this is still a process that we're developing throughout countries. However, we have a fully robust legal framework for individuals like yourself to use if operating in the marketplace. And what that contains is we use a document called a corporate resolution. Now this corporate resolution is unilaterally signed by the asset owner. And what it does is it allocates the economic rights of that asset to the holders of the tokens. So in this way, it provides a completely legal, robust framework where both the investor and the asset owner are protected. And in addition to that, it means that the agency, in terms of control over the property, remains with the asset owner, which we believe is really important when you're dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of potential investors. You need to maintain that agency. Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
Any other questions?
No? All right, well, thanks very much for having me.
Woo!